Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon to everyone. Another good crowd. We have some interesting items on the agenda to bring everyone out. First thing is approval of the minutes. You all had a chance to review the minutes and any additions, takeaways, corrections. Everything's good, so they stand approved as is. Report of Town Manager, Mr. Warner.
Thank you, Mayor Stanley, members of council. First item I want to report on is under the terms of section 58-171 of the Town Code, the updated 6-month priced cost adjustment for the electric utility bills is scheduled to take effect as of May 1st. Based on a projected increase in cost to customers related to that calculation, staff is asking council to defer that adjustment for 1 month in order to give us some time to determine ways in which those costs could be reduced or deferred. So when the time comes, I will be asking for this to be added as an item of new business at tonight's meeting as a revision to the agenda. Also just wanted to report, really for the benefit of the public, council will be engaging in your work session on Saturday, May 2nd to review and discuss fiscal year 26-27 budget. A few highlights as it is currently proposed I want to pass along is that it does include a proposed increase in BPOL to 20 cents per $100 on businesses with gross revenues of $10 million and above, while the current rate is 15 cents. No other tax increases are currently proposed. The budget also demonstrates a concerted effort to identify all costs associated with the electric utility and to allocate those costs within the electric fund. This eliminates the traditional transfer from electric to general funds. However, a payment in lieu of taxes is included as general fund revenue related to the electric utility. This is calculated as the amount of tax revenue that the town would receive from the utility if it were a private entity. Compared to last year's transfer of $799,000, the proposed payment in lieu of taxes is $589,000. Also want to report that the decision to withdraw from commercial solid waste service is showing some benefit. Solid Waste Fund is actually transferring revenues of $10,000 for the first time in memory to the general fund. The budget includes a 2% cost of living adjustment for employees. We were originally looking at 2.8% to match the Social Security cost of living adjustment, but our health insurance costs increased once again. On that note, the budget includes continued funding of employee-only health insurance coverage for all employees at the $1,000 deductible level, but we are already looking to make changes in fiscal year 27-28 to drop the $500 deductible plan and offer a high deductible health care plan instead. Also note that there's one vacancy in Public Works as a result of retirement that will be frozen and it is not proposed to be funded. Other vacancies that occur through retirement will be considered in similar fashion during the coming year. And finally, I just want to close by noting that there is a $332,000 contingency budgeted within the general fund, but this includes the possibility of debt for the municipal building renovations and other obligations, but it is nice to balance without use of prior year reserves and actually to budget a contingency. And that concludes my report for the evening.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. And appearances before council, we have a few. And before I get started, let me tell everyone, you will have a 3-minute time limit. We have a lot on the agenda tonight, so you will be limited to 3 minutes total. So once you hear the buzzer go off, your time is up. So please be courteous with that. The first one is Mr. Ken Parker.
Takes me 3 minutes to get up to the stand.
Well, your time will begin then.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and distinguished council members and town manager. Good evening, everyone. I stand before you as a resident of Bedford as co-founder with my wife Linda of the Bedford Boys Tribute Center. We've had in operation for 7 years now with approximately 22,000 visitors from all 50 states and 34 countries. I'm here to discuss a very important issue that requires your immediate attention, discussion, and decision. The issue at hand is the proper time to display our community's Vietnam War fallen and the Bedford Boys lamppost street banners in a respectful and appropriate manner. Recently, I had a very sincere discussion on the issue with the leadership of the Vietnam War Monument Board of Directors. It was presented to me that in the opinion of the board that the Vietnam War fallen banners should be displayed for the same equal 9-month period as the Bedford Boys banners are displayed. The reasoning offered was that eventually over time the National D-Day Memorial and the Bedford Boys Tribute Center will fall out of visitors' interest and no longer be visited. Furthermore, it was expressed to me that the downtown historic district of Bedford is in a depressed state and has no retail future to speak of. In the board's opinion, the new Vietnam War Monument would become the new draw for visitors to come to Bedford and therefore be an important attraction that will be the source of revitalization for downtown Bedford. I strongly disagree with this reasoning and position. To accept the fact that the National D-Day Memorial and the Bedford Boys Tribute Center will be less visited in the future would be like saying eventually we will be forgetting Gettysburg and Valley Forge. The DNA of our town is the D-Day invasion, and on June the 6th of 1944, and our Bedford Boys first waved 9 minutes of sacrifice. To provide equal 9-month lamppost exposure at the same time for both the D-Day and Vietnam fallen would truly be an injustice to the legacies of our beloved Bedford Boys. Do not, under any condition, interpret or have the opinion that I do not have respect for our fallen Vietnam boys. To the contrary, they must be honored, but in an appropriate fashion and time. Let's face some facts. Liberty University did not produce a play featuring the Vietnam fallen, nor has there been a book written about them. I offer these perspectives for the benefit of the town of Bedford, because of the historical worldwide uniqueness relating to the invasion. I firmly believe that the National D-Day Memorial and the Bedford Boys Tribute Center will continue to be recognized nationally and will be increasingly visited because 2 new hotels are under construction.
Mr. Parker, your time is up. We'll have to ask you to, whatever else you have, pass that on to us. But next time, be more brief. We understand what you're saying, fully understand. And we know what you've said about the banners. And I understand where you're coming from. We're here to recognize all the fallen heroes, as you well know. I don't disagree with you, but we understand what you're saying. So whatever else you want to say to us, put it in print and pass it out, please. Thank you. All right, next one is Mr. George Palmer. And give your name and address too, I'm sorry.
Yes, George Palmer, 1100 Pinecrest Avenue. I've been a resident for 12 years. Tonight I just want to address the council about this new business proposal 9-CC-15-1-4-21, speed limit change on Longwood Avenue. First of all, I personally on a daily basis either jog or walk the streets of Bedford. In the past 12 years, the observations I've made is that people have become increasingly distracted in their driving, and any type of speed limit change going from a lower limit to a higher limit, I highly disagree with, because it puts me at a risk and it puts the other people at risk. Longwood Avenue is a highly residential area with a lot of foot traffic and pedestrian traffic, and it wasn't but a couple years ago that the change was made from 35 to 25, as I understand it. Now, maybe I'm incorrect on that, but was that change not made too long ago? So I would like to know what data you have that would suggest that a change to increase it would be beneficial. Because based on the observations I've made by driving and walking on the town streets, they definitely don't pay attention to the speed limits now. So increasing it would be a danger. I also suggest that a little more traffic enforcement be exercised in these areas, especially on Longwood where it narrows down and people excessively drive over the speed limit. Thank you for your time. I appreciate what you do.
Thank you. All right, Tom Ippolito.
He finally let me speak.
Name and address.
Tom Ippolito, 1680 Fuqua Mill Road. I just wanted to remind all of you that Bart had brought up about the what you guys are going to be passing soon, but you need to make sure that you go ahead and hire somebody for the ticket person. I don't know how you do all that, but you've got to vote on it and stuff. But we do need that revenue in town. So, I mean, you need to really think that over. That's all I have.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, Leslie Mahaffey. Come on down.
Leslie Mahaffey, 1517 Woodland Road here in town. Thank you, gentlemen, for allowing me to come before you to speak. I'm here in reference to the proposed banner policy. In review of this, items that are under the placement under C is listed as historically significant persons. I'm taking that's the museum historical banners, and I would respectfully ask that name be changed to such. Also, there are 18 of those banners that are currently, there's only 17 on display right now due to a fire damage, but the 18 is not identified. And looking over the policy also, I see that there are some inconsistencies in naming of streets. Crenshaw Street, North Bridge doesn't say street, and also within the C section where the historical banners are, in years past they have historically been on Bridge Street. The way that I'm reading this, you're tacking it on at the end of the Vietnam veterans and the end of the Bedford boys. I would like to see that actually on North Bridge Street. The museum has been in this town for 93 years. We are your next door neighbors. We represent all history from when the county was formed in 1754, the town in 1782, all the way through. We represent history of everyone. So those items I would ask for your consideration on that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Leslie. Mr. Warner, did you take notes on that?
Got it.
You did. What did I ask? All right, Terry Foster.
Hi, I'm Terry Foster. I live at 611 Longwood Avenue in Bedford. I'd like to address the proposal to increase the speed limit on Longwood. First, let me express my huge disappointment that this is even up for consideration again when it was resolved less than 2 years ago. Longwood Avenue is mostly residential, and speed limits in residential areas are 25 through most of the town. Most homes on Longwood are old, and it's these homes that make Bedford charming. Some homes, including ours, are within Bedford's historic district. These homes were built long before heavy vehicles came along. The heavy weight is destructive to the foundations of a house, especially an old house. Every house, or our house, is 150 years old, and I assure you that we feel every bump and rattle day and night when large vehicles, especially trucks, drive past our house, and that's with the current speed limit of 25. Whether we own one or not, we are all stewards of these old houses. Driving slowly on every Bedford street is how we do our part to protect them. Driving at 25 is a small price to pay to live in such a special town filled with old houses and history. Longwood has a walking loop and crosswalks. Our residents and families who walk and run the loop need to be kept safe. Drivers aren't paying attention like they used to, and increasing the speed limit near a walking trail is a dangerous idea. Also, bicycles and scooters drive along the street and oftentimes in the center of the street. Unless your address is Longwood Avenue, you really have no idea how a speed increase, even a small one, will affect the traffic. Drivers aren't going to yo-yo back and forth. They will increase their speed and keep it there, which is the same reason we had the problem 2 years ago and fixed it. When the speed limits were inconsistent a few years back, they were resolved with a consistent speed of 25 throughout the entire stretch of Longwood, which is only 1.2 miles, and it still makes sense today. I'm not sure who wants to increase the speed limit again, but I'll take a wild guess they don't live on Longwood Avenue. This is our street. We live here. We see, feel, and hear the traffic every day. They don't. They pass through and complain they have to drive slowly. At the current 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, it takes only 4 minutes to drive from Food Lion to the old middle school. I'm dumbfounded that this issue has resurrected again. Please keep the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit consistent. And if you do anything, please enforce the law and add a few more traffic signs while you're at it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Brinkley Hill.
Hey there. Brinkley Hill, 706 Vine Street. I also just wanted to speak against raising the back to 35 on Longwood. I think that it'd be dangerous to do so. It's unnecessary. But I just wanted to add, it acts as a great traffic calming area when you're coming into a town. As a driver, you just naturally feel the sense when the speed limit slows down, it's showing you, okay, I'm coming into town, people live here, people are playing outside, people are walking there on Longwood. Other towns like Stanton or Warrenton or Farmville do the same thing, where as a driver it indicates to you, okay, I'm coming into a town, it's time to slow down. One thing I might suggest is that I think people feel like it should be a 35 in that area because there's still 2 lanes, like when you're driving on the right, there's 2 lanes on other parts. When you see a 2-lane road as a driver or a wide road, you just naturally feel like, okay, it's time to drive faster. So I don't think that it's enough to even necessarily just smack the 25 sign out there. I think it would be really great to even decrease it to 1 lane on either side with like a grass median in the middle, put some trees up. You see this in numerous other towns, right? And it indicates to you, okay, I'm in a small town, slow down, people live here, be a great place to add a bike lane even. Or increase the sidewalks for, I have kids, I love pushing my stroller and walking next to my wife at the same time. But Longwood it's a beautiful place. It shows you, like have been mentioned, the historic homes, the loop goes through there, people walk. So just generally, even on top of not increasing it to a 35, I think it would be a great place to make a statement for the town of, this is a beautiful place, people live here. So I say keep it at 25, and also let's make it a beautiful place as well. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, and finally, Mark Knutson.
Hey, my name is Mark Knutson. I live at 720 Longwood Ave. I'm also here to speak about the speed limit change, and I am against it increasing to 35. I have 4 kids, and our house is pretty close to the road, so for our safety, just in case a ball goes rolling into the road, I'd rather not have the speed increase for any reason to make that more dangerous for them. I know that also in this area, Halloween is a big thing, and the roads get really busy, and I know that there's going to be a lot of foot traffic, especially during times like that. So for that reason, I think as well, it would be good to keep the speed low. That's really it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And that concludes the Appearances before council. Council comments. Councilman Abilito, what do you have for us?
Oh, it's good to see a big crowd here this evening. We appreciate everybody that spoke. Ken, George, Tommy, Leslie, Terry, Brickley, and Mark. We hear all of what you're saying. We appreciate it. I'm sure y'all have known through Facebook that they have increased the ticket limits in town of your parking and stuff. And I don't know if y'all paid attention or noticed a lot. There's a lot more places to park now in town, which we are very happy about because now our customers can come see us, which will get that food tax up. I also had the pleasure of meeting a couple this week that purchased Holy Land. I don't know how many of y'all ever went to Holy Land or remember Holy Land, but they purchased Holy Land and they signed the papers today and they're in the works of reopening Holy Land back up. So it was a real good pleasure to meet them and see them, and hopefully that'll get some more touring back into town with us. That's all I got.
I want to thank everybody that's here today. I hope everybody had a chance to vote today. It's after voting time now. We have a busy meeting tonight, so I won't say a lot. I just want to thank you for being here and thank you for your comments tonight.
Just want same thing, similar to what Todd said and everybody else said. Thank everybody for being here tonight. Thank you for all your comments and concerns that you came up here and spoke and whatever. Also, I want to say I attended an event Saturday. I attended the Professional Women's event. It was pretty cool. I go in there and ain't no more women in that. You know, I mean, I'm the only man in that. But they had some of the best food in the world there at the event. And it's a fashion show they put on for every year for people and stuff like all the events and different clothing organizations and stuff like that. So I think that was a real great event to just go to and just sit there and watch. I met a lot of people. I saw a lot of people I already know. So it's pretty cool going to something like that. And I just want to say thank everybody for being here tonight.
Councilman Haley, we've discussed a whole lot of things since I've been on council. That's the biggest I've seen you smile about anything particular.
It's all women.
And I can appreciate it. I mean, I'm not, but yeah. But again, thanks, thank everyone for being here. Appreciate you coming in and sharing your thoughts with us.
I want to thank everybody that, and for coming up tonight, and and also we listen to y'all's comments. We take a lot of comments, and also like to welcome the people watching by YouTube. I get a lot of comments by people watching by YouTube. Again.
Well, I'll just echo, appreciate everybody coming out. It's good to hear your opinions and also to see so many people out. There's two things I just wanted to bring up real quickly. A few meetings ago, I've mentioned a group called Mission Serve that's coming here in July. They're the group that comes basically 6th graders through 18-year-olds who come and do work on homes for the needy in the community. They'll be back, like I said, back here in July. And if you want to make donations, you can still make it to the town of Bedford. Just in the memo, put Mission Serve there. But also was reminded that if you need work done on your house, if you're in need, you can contact our very own Mary Zirkle, Director of Planning and Community Development at 540-587-6006. She's compiling a list of people who need work done. And lastly, I just wanted to tell everybody that came out last Tuesday for the electric meeting. Appreciate all the citizens coming out, but also want to just do a shout out to our AMP rep and for John for being there and taking questions and answers at that meeting. So thanks.
I have very little other than to say, I too want to thank everyone who came up here and spoke. We do appreciate that, taking the time to voice your opinion. There are times to where, we may be undecided about a few things, but when we hear the public opinion, that makes a big decision for us. So I do appreciate that. And I also want to touch based on what Stacy said. my wife is usually involved in that fashion show. She's usually one of the models, so, but we were out of town this week, so I've often asked her, so what would I do if I came? Because I'd be the only guy. She said, probably so, but you know a lot of them, so just sit there and talk. So maybe next year we'll both go, Stacy. Yeah. All right, moving on. Report of council committees. I don't think we had any. Nope. And revisions to the agenda. Mr. Warner?
Yes, sir. I would like to request that we add as item number 12, an action to defer the implementation of the PCA for 1 month.
That's at the very end. You want to put that?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Is everyone okay with that? Yep. Okay. Public hearings. Adoption of Bedford 2045 Comprehensive Plan.
Notice is given of a public hearing to be held by the Town Council at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, April 21st for the purpose of considering adoption of the proposed Town Comprehensive Plan as required by the Code of Virginia, Section 15.2-2223. The proposed plan includes studies, goals, and strategies for key topics such as land use, housing, transportation, economy, infrastructure, and community facilities and services for guiding future development. Copies of the proposed plan have been available for public review in the Office of Planning and Community Development, and I understand that tonight there are representatives of EPR who did excellent work in drafting the proposed plan who may be prepared to give a brief presentation ahead of the opening of the public hearing.
Okay. Yeah, Todd, I think you and Alan, okay. I will open this public hearing, and then you all come up and give your presentation, and if anyone else wants to make any comments, then we'll go from there. So the public hearing for 2045 Comprehensive Plan is now open. And then once we go down the agenda, we may call you back for further questions.
Try to make the screen come on, but thank you very much for having us. I'm Todd Gordon. I'm principal planner at EPR. With me is Alan Simpson, also at EPR. There we go. There's some slides. So we have had the opportunity, and we're very thankful for the opportunity to work with town staff and with the Planning Commission on the update of the town's comprehensive plan. We've been working on that for approximately 18 months. And so we'd like to make a brief presentation of the contents of that. Maybe going the wrong way. So we called this plan Our Goal, Bedford 2045. And so the comprehensive plan is meant to look approximately 20 years into the future at where the town of Bedford would like to see itself and what strategies should be in place in order to get you there. With this plan, the town has expressed its aim to protect the town's history and identity while growing the local economy and providing reliable infrastructure and services. Some of you may be veterans of comprehensive planning, others may be new to this idea. But the comprehensive plan is required by Virginia law, required by the Code of Virginia for all cities, counties, and towns. The plan is meant to be a guide to future decision-making on a range of topics. And it's very important to note that the comprehensive plan is a non-binding guide. It's meant to be a reference that you can look to as you make many little decisions about budgeting or approving developments and so on, to keep on track for what the town is aiming for over the next 20 years. Ultimately, the plan is a guide. It does not hold the force of law the way a zoning ordinance does. So it's important to keep that in mind. I wanted to briefly mention the planning process. As I said, approximately 18 months since we initially started. We kicked off the project in the summer of 2024. We had the information and a community survey available at Centerfest that fall. Throughout that winter and into February, we met with various stakeholders, community groups, town departments, and others. We conducted a great deal of technical and demographic analysis, looking at the town's growth, property values, housing values, etc., and began to come up with strategic proposals and goals for the future. We presented goals and strategic proposals at another public workshop in August 2025, and then drafted plan language through the fall. We then presented again to the public the draft plan in February, a couple of months ago, and then made revisions and brought that plan back to the Planning Commission in March. And so ultimately, we've had a wonderful time, and I'm very happy to work with the Planning Commission on the construction of this plan. And they have recommended the approval of this plan to you, and so we bring it to you this evening. I mentioned a minute ago the number of stakeholders that are involved in this. And so speaking to the public through in-person interactions at various events and meetings, getting the public's input through a survey that we conducted, but we also sat down individually with various folks who had something that they might share with us about the future of Bedford, and those included some of the people listed here: the Police Department, Fire and Rescue, Public Works, County of Bedford, the Hospital Administration and other healthcare providers, church groups, property owners, small businesses and business groups, the real estate industry and real estate agents and professionals, schools, utility providers, as well as the Virginia Department of Transportation. In doing all of that, we've had this website up throughout, and I hope many people have had the opportunity to visit it, but bedford2045.com, where we posted all the draft materials, results of surveys, presentations, invitations to come to public meetings, and others. And so the draft plan that's available in your packet is also up on this website, and we've used the website to collect feedback on it. And so this website continues to be the landing place for this project through its adoption. And so the comprehensive plan starts very broadly with where Bedford wants to be in the future, and whittles itself down to specific strategies and actions that might be taken to help deliver you there. But the vision statement that was constructed using the input of residents through the survey is essentially a vision of growing the economy and culture of Bedford, becoming a hub for your region, and being a town filled with high-quality housing, high-quality employment, and high-quality public services. So I'll invite Alan to speak for a minute.
So we'll talk a little bit about the plan itself. So as you review it, or as you have reviewed it, it's organized around 12 chapters. So each cover different topics. So we have analysis of key issues and opportunities, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, demographic analysis of current conditions and projected population, so on and so forth. So then we talk about the economy, we talk about housing, community facilities and services, infrastructure, transportation, parks and rec. We have one on community identity and partnerships, then land use and growth management. That includes future land use map, existing zoning, that sort of thing, and then finally implementation to talk about how the plan will actually be put forth. So first, each chapter has some analysis of existing conditions. So it includes public facilities, demographics, utility statistics. This is an example of the one for water and sewer services. So we have that analysis there as kind of a baseline. And with that, we go on to information analysis. So we've analyzed opportunities, threats, strengths, weaknesses that we identified through our own analysis, through talking to the public, stakeholders, and the survey, things that the town is really good at, things that people would like to see the town improve at. So it has information on future growth and change for each chapter topic. And then finally, goals and strategies for each topic in the plan. So each chapter proposes one or two goals for the chapter topic, so overarching goals, and within those strategies to spell out actions to achieve those goals, and sub-strategies below that. So the implementation chapter has a matrix that talks about the overarching goals. So for here, for economic development, goal 1 is to strengthen and diversify the town's economy while revitalizing downtown as the heart of the community. How do we get there? We have strategy 1A, 1B, 1C that dig down into how to get that done. talks about who the lead authorities would be on that, who would be support on that. And in general terms, it talks about the length of time it would take to achieve that, the cost using dollar figures. So $1 sign being low cost, 3 being higher cost, and then some discussion about the resources available to achieve those things. So that's at the end of the document, and it's kind of a summary of everything that we talk about and recommend in the plan. Transportation the transportation chapter is probably the most significant chapter in terms of content in the plan. So we talk about transportation being more than just about moving cars and automobiles around. So it needs to be about supporting safe access to downtown, schools, parks, jobs, services for people of all ages and abilities. So Bedford obviously is positioned around Route 460, regional ties in nearby metropolitan areas, best shapes commuting, freight and visitor travel. So we focus on walkability, safer crossings, transit, and readiness for a future passenger rail stop. So we worked with the CDPDC to develop this chapter. They were co-authors on that part of the plan, and it was reviewed and approved by the Virginia Department of Transportation. So that is a significant part of the plan. Another significant part of the plan is the future land use map. For those who have not looked at the future land use map before, it's a complement to the zoning map. So the existing zoning map talks about what's here now, what the land use is as of today. And the future land use map is not a zoning map, it is a guide for what the future of zoning should look like. So this is the vision for what the town would look like in the horizon year 2040. Is not necessarily, it is not a law, and it is not prescriptive, but it's a guide and a kind of a way forward to what the town wants the town to look like. So this is an important feature of most comprehensive plans. And it helps organize areas that may be appropriate for different types and scales of growth and development. So, Todd, you want to take over?
So it's certainly difficult to summarize the whole comprehensive plan in a brief presentation. The document is roughly 100 pages long. I encourage everyone to give it a read. In the grand scheme of comprehensive plans, it is relatively brief compared to some places. But the plan is meant to be comprehensive. It covers a wide variety of topics. But ultimately, it is, again, a guide to decision making, primarily to be used by you all as you approve developments, consider budgets and other priorities. There are some other uses to comprehensive plans. The comprehensive plan is in some ways a key to funding that may be granted by the state or even federal agencies. In many cases, those agencies want to know that these plans or your request for funding is included in your comprehensive plan, because that shows that it is accepted as part of the vision for the future of your community. It's also true, in our experience, that the comprehensive plan is turned to very often by potential investors in your town, employers, property developers, and others, as an indication of what the town is interested in and what its vision for its future is. So we present this plan that we think is strongly based in public input and feedback, charts the demographic and other existing conditions of the town, and presents goals and strategies to point Bedford toward where your community has indicated they'd like to be in the future. So your last comprehensive plan was adopted in 2017. There have been some updates and additions in the intervening years, and now we present this as this year's update to the comprehensive plan. We are certainly happy to hear your comments, public comments, and answer any questions you have.
Probably, Todd, once we get to the new business, we'll probably call you back up with any questions we may have or any concerns. Yeah.
Sure how to turn that off.
Is there anyone else who would like to make comments on the comprehensive plan? Going once, going twice. Then the public hearing for comprehensive plan is closed. Now, the next one is vacant building registry. Mr. Warner.
Notice is hereby given of a public hearing to be held by the Town Council at 7 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, April 21st. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive comment on a proposed ordinance to require buildings that are vacant, boarded up, and disconnected from utilities for more than 12 months to register with the town as vacant structures and pay an annual $100 fee. Further information on this action has been available in the office of the town manager. Also, before the public hearing's open, I wanted to note council has received comments via email from 3 citizens. Well, first is Barbara Owen, the second is Bill Mosley, and the third is Ms. Ann DeLong. And I would ask that those comments be appended to the minutes and the official record of the meeting.
All right. And this public hearing for the vacant building registry is now open. Anyone who would like to come up and speak about that, you may come up at this time and tell us what's on your mind.
This is a big surprise, but I love Bedford, and I can't stand seeing these empty buildings. This does not sound like it's going to deter anyone from having an empty building. I think $100 a year, whoopee-doo, that's nothing. I think it should be hard. It should be very harsh, and you need to hit them harder than that. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Could you?
We got it.
Then anyone else? This public hearing is closed. All right, consent agenda, Bedford Town Carnival. Mr. Warner.
Bedford County Fair Incorporated has requested permission to host the Bedford Town Carnival at Liberty Lake Park from August 21st through 23rd. The event will also require quite a bit of put-up and take-down work in the days before and after the event. Special event application has been completed and is attached for council's reference. In addition, all fees included within the current special events policy have been paid. Tonight, Town Council is requested to approve the Bedford Town Carnival on August 21st, 22nd, and 23rd from Friday at 4 o'clock p.m. until Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. at Liberty Lake Park.
All right, do I hear a motion?
Yeah.
Councilman Ippolito made the motion and Councilman Haley made the second. Any questions, comments?
Same concept from last year, what they had right there, right?
That's my understanding, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. And I will say, last year was kind of a new beginning, kind of went along and did things spur of the moment. But this year, it's in line. It's kind of more, as Jonathan Hayden said, we copy and paste, and I think we have it down pat, and worked out well last year. And I'm happy they came back for this year at Liberty Lake Park. Anything else? All right, Dorsey.
Mr. Evans?
Aye.
Mr. Foreman?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Ippolito?
Aye.
Mr. Updike?
Aye.
Mayor Stanley?
Aye.
Motion carries with all members voting aye.
All right, no old business and new business. Invitation for bids for a franchise for the lease of the town transfer station. Mr. Warner?
Yes, Mayor Stanley, members of council, as you may recall, when we exited the commercial solid waste business, we retained ownership of the transfer station facility that frankly we have no practical use for, since we no longer collect and dispose of solid waste from customers directly. We advertised a request for firms to express interest in obtaining a franchise, and tonight I can report that we have received one qualified proposal from Bay's Trash Removal to negotiate for bids for franchise. I will tell you that staff's opinion is it's not quite where we'd like to see it, but we would ask for your authority to engage them in negotiations to bring a possible franchise agreement back under the terms of the process. And the town attorney advises me that approval of this motion does require a 3/4 vote.
Okay. So we're giving you the
We're
approval.
not really approving the franchise.
Yeah, you're not approving the franchise, just to
To negotiate.
request.
Enter in negotiation.
Yes, correct. All right.
Which is,
Does everyone understand that? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Councilman Haley made the motion.
Second.
Vice Mayor Updike. Any questions or discussions?
I had a question.
Fire away.
The only question I had probably dealt with maybe franchise fees, royalties, or other charges. Talks about town waste. But my question, I guess, really, Jim, is for town residents, are residents still going to be able to use the first 500 pounds free, drop off their residential waste there like we do now?
That's something we can negotiate as part of the franchise, but we'll make a note of that.
And brush also.
Yes. Yes, there are certain town interests that were referenced in the advertisement that we will pursue.
That's my
Good, very good. Anything else? All right, Darcy.
Mr. Foreman,
Aye.
Mr. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Haley,
Aye.
Mr. Ippolito,
Aye.
Mr. Updike,
Aye.
Mr. Evans,
Aye.
Mayor Stanley.
Aye.
Motion carries with all members voting aye.
All right, next is a brief presentation regarding operations and outcomes of the planning and community development. Ms. Zocco, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am the second of our department heads that are bringing presentations to the public, and so wanted to give just a very brief overview of what community development does, and also have some information on the economic development side of the house that we have and the two departments that I supervise. Starting with the building side of community development, we have two staff there. We have the building official and building inspector. I want to give you some statistics on what they processed last year in the way of building permits. They processed 226 permits, and they range from everything from electrical change of services to bouncy houses on up to commercial things like the hotel. And I wanted to give you some statistics. 28 new houses. That's a pretty big number for the town of Bedford to see in time, and we know that's going to be growing over time. So some scale for that growth over time is building permits year to date, 76, and if we continue that current rate of growth, we'll end up with 260 at that rate. So compare that to 226 of the last year. We know those are coming mostly in Easton Crossing and the other subdivisions that are currently being built. The second part of permitting is inspections. So just for scale there, each single-family dwelling has about 11 inspections that need to be done before the final certificate of occupancy for someone to move in for safety. And that's what it's all about, is safety, because that is the public purpose of most all things is public health, safety, and welfare, whether it's building or zoning. Other parts of that, and we do share this lovely responsibility between those of us in the town among us in the department. So a lot of the things we see for enforcement are signs that are in the right of way, and we keep a running tally of look in the back of the trucks that staff has as they're picking these up again out of the right of way, not on private property. Property maintenance, so it is now grass season as we're beginning to put out those notices. Other things that we look for are illegal uses that didn't receive zoning approval or that are unsafe. Nuisances in zoning, that can be lighting. As you see in some things, we get calls for lights that are too bright. On down to unsafe structures, which are the most imminent danger to the public that they will get on very quickly if there's a situation or someone, car goes into a building. Those are within their purview as well. For planning and zoning on my side of the house, we also share an administrative staff, and most of the processing of zoning permits are done by Kathy Johnson in the office, and we processed 126. Those range from sign permits down to chickens in that lower left picture. So if anyone has any chickens, we're happy to give you that permit there and get you hooked up so that your neighbors don't call us and tell us you have chickens. Planning actions, these go mostly to the Planning Commission. These are conditional use permits, rezoning actions, map amendments, and the like that we have there. And we also do notices, basically the letters of determination when someone needs to have something in writing of what they can do with their property. That comes through us as well. We also do site plans and plats, platting of subdivisions. So that's what the picture is of the large one there at the top there. As we bring things online, they go through a review process that goes among agencies, and lastly are signed off by the subdivision agent, which is me, before they are recorded in the courthouse. And you heard tonight, the long-range planning that we've been working on for 18 months here was our comprehensive plan, which we've been very excited about to have, and we appreciate the work of the Planning Commission in guiding that process as is required for code, but it's also something that we need to have a thought of what we want Bedford to look like. So that's actually a good exercise for us to go through. That also informs the capital improvement program for budgeting purposes. And so also serve as staff to the Housing Authority. That is one of your appointed bodies that you're familiar with. The big things they're working on right now are the Community Development Block Grant, which is over $1 million for the second phase in the Hilltop community. This is one of the houses that have been built on Cook Street, nearing completion as soon as we can get a sewer hookup there, where we thought there was one and there wasn't. So we're so close. And the second part that you may be familiar with is South Street lots that Town Council, that you sent them out to bid and you did not receive any buyers. You gave those to the Housing Authority and they turned those into their budget. So the first lot was sold to the Habitat for Humanity, Greater Lynchburg, and that home dedication is this Saturday, 10 a.m. Everyone is invited. Just watch where you park, but you are more than welcome to attend that for the new homeowner there. The second lot is under contract and due to go to closing right now, actually. So thank you for that. In lieu of a budget, they were able to turn that into money that they are then using for grants, part of which is going to go for Mission Served, as Councilman Foster mentioned to you. Some of that money will be there, as well as other home improvement in the community. The other body that I serve for is the Economic Development Authority, another one of your appointed groups, and they had a strategic plan in 2021. They laid out 3 projects, and they're pretty much through with all 3 of them. So they're looking to update their strategic plan. The first was a business class hotel. You can see the Hampton Inn is under construction and should be opening early next year. Second project was the Metal Workforce Training Center that took over the old Wheelabrator Fry Winnoa building in order to focus that on. I say that's almost done. The study is done. They had a grant to do that, and now we're looking for tenants in that space. We're focusing mostly on a foundry or others who may be looking to do critical or rare earth mineral reclamation. So that's how we're marketing that. And the third project was an incubator or business development center. We used Tobacco Commission funds to do that. That study is going to the EDA on May 8th at their meeting as a draft, and we'll be bringing that back to the public. We had a really good meeting of entrepreneurs a couple of weeks ago at CVCC in order to find out who would be the tenants of this space. So those are the 3 projects. I'll talk about incentives on the next slide, but the other thing that I do is retention and expansion visits of our top employers on a regular basis annually. Go out and ask them what they need, what their challenges are, and who their friends are in case we can bring them here to the town to as a supplier or another entity in their supply chain. That is the trickiest part of economic development, is having space for businesses to locate. People ask me all the time, well, what's coming in? Where are you putting them? Where are they coming? I'm like, where am I putting them? Exactly. We have essentially one publicly held piece of property, that is the Bedford Center for Business, which is held by the Bedford County Economic Development Authority. We do have a shovel-ready lot right there that's actually graded and ready to go. So that is one that we end up marketing jointly with the county. And we did just have the joint EDA meeting of both bodies last week. So we do that annually with the 2 EDAs. And there's going to be a working group convened, members from both of those bodies, to get things done, not just once a year, but throughout the year. And I mentioned that we have the incentives that the Economic Development Authority does. The print's kind of hard to read, but from 2018 to 2025, 68 grants were awarded in the downtown area for real property improvement. That totaled over $248,000 across 68 recipients. Now, some of them have come back more than once for facade or other work that they've had done to update it. And in 2025, the EDA led the charge on child care grants. We had 2 recipients that each received $15,000 in order to enable child care as a workforce issue. So we're trying to move that forward in that body. Transportation, some of the other work that we do. The Federal Rail Administration has given us the grant that you're familiar with in order to be siting the Amtrak passenger rail stop there along Macon Street. So that is underway. AECOM is your consultant who is doing that work for you. That will be wrapped up in early 2027 so that we can talk about how we actually fund construction of that. So stay tuned for how we're going to do that. This is breaking news here for the Otter Bus. We had 4 years of demonstration grants through the state. We are now on the list. The 6-year plans for the state has put us in as a Federal Transit Administration recipient for going federal, where we've talked about this before. You've authorized an 80-20 grant through the state, then you authorized a 70-30 application, and it looks like we will be getting that, if it passes, in June with the Commonwealth Transportation Board. Another aspect of what my department does is grants, and ones you're most familiar with recently are the USDA Downtown Strategy. That was a $50,000 grant that was done to provide information on actionable strategies that are meant to be done in 5 years. So the next steps for that, as you're aware, we'd like to assign core teams that will be responsible for each of the different actions in that. And one of those is actually on your agenda tonight, the recommendations. We've talked about carrots, and one of the recommendations was to have a vacant property registry, and that was recommended in that strategy as well to close that circle. One of the things you think you should be aware of, the FEMA grant that the hospital has for a new generator. So that's another large-scale grant of $8 million. Well, it's $4 million, but $8 million project. And other things from my department, workforce development. This was the most recent chamber event we had with the Career Tech Expo that was held at Susie Gibson for all of the 8th graders in Bedford County. Came through. It was a fun day. Highly recommend if you want some excitement. Stand in a hall while the kids are going through. And visitor attraction, I want to just remind everyone we had the World War II Heritage City designation from the National Park Service. We do have new brochures out and about, and signage is the last step in that grant that we received for that. So that will wrap that up. And as everyone knows, all of us in the town have other duties as assigned, and we're happy to do them. And the website for specifically for economic development is betterinbedford.com.
Well, thank you, Mary. Any questions, comments, things you did not know?
Earlier this week, I had a conversation with an individual who certainly has the gift of gab. Our conversation was about electric rates. So I knew at that point it was going to be a very long conversation. And at one point he said that had spoken with Mary about some various aspects of that issue that he was trying to resolve, and at some point the conversation got to the tourism and the lady that runs that, and how just involved and on the ball and had an answer for everything that she was. He compared Mary to this lady. He said, and if I can find a way for the county to scarf Mary up, I'm going to find a way to do that.
Don't say that in a public meeting.
But he was very much aware of some of the things that Mary was involved with, and was very pleased with everything. So thank you for all the work that you did.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to serve.
Been there, done that, but I will say too, I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing, and I told Mary several times, I don't really know what you do. So, this gives us a lot better indication as to all the duties that she has. I mean, we tend to, and the citizens do focus on one thing, but there's a lot more going on here than just one item. But I thank you for all you do, and just keep up the good work, and whenever you retire, I'll come back and sing or whatever you want me to do, right? If I'm still around. All right. Thank you again. All right, resolution, adoption of the Bedford 2045 Comprehensive Plan. Mr. Warner.
All localities in the Commonwealth are required to adopt a comprehensive plan prepared through the Planning Commission, according to the Code of Virginia. The Town Planning Commission has been contemplating a revision to the 2017 Comprehensive Plan since late 2022, awaiting incorporation of new land with the second phase of the Boundary Adjustment Agreement through reversion. After a competitive bidding process, Town Council authorized a contract with EPRPC in May 2024 for planning services. Work was carried out over several months and included numerous opportunities for public engagement during the drafting of the plan. Our goal, Bedford 2045, is a long-range policy guide for growth and development for the town of Bedford through the year 2045. It provides a foundation for decision-making on land use, housing, transportation, infrastructure, and community facilities so that future development aligns with the community's goals. The plan combines technical data and trend analysis with extensive community input to to paint a clear picture of where Bedford stands today and where it aspires to go. The plan also references various other planning efforts undertaken in the past, including those by the Redevelopment and Housing Authority and the Economic Development Authority. The Virginia Department of Transportation is required to review local comprehensive plans, and VDOT found the proposed plan to be consistent with state transportation plans on February 2nd, 2026. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on April 2nd, 2026. No citizens spoke at the public hearing. Commissioners discussed the best chapter for pocket parks in the plan and a paragraph about the potential recreational opportunities on the reservoir property. The Commission decided to leave the reservoir information in for Town Council to choose how to address that based on recent council action. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend the comprehensive plan to Town Council for their action to adopt it as required in the Code of Virginia. Tonight, Town Council is requested to adopt the Our Goal Bedford 2045 comprehensive plan as recommended by the Planning Commission.
All right. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
All right. Councilman Evans made the motion, second?
Second.
All right, Councilman Foster made the second. Questions, discussions? Darryl, you've been heavily involved in this. I was involved in it in my time on Planning Commission.
Yeah, there was a lot of work that went into this comprehensive plan. Like to have seen a little more community involvement with that, but I think that between the town and the consultants that we had, they did a good job of trying to reach out and bring people into the discussion, and got some really good information and feedback from that process. The product that's before us, I think it's a very good plan. Is it a perfect plan? Well, that's kind of an individual analysis, evaluation kind of thing, but it is a very good plan. And it's as far as the section there that discusses the property around the reservoir and stuff. And, my position was we need to take that out, but that's kind of what's before us.
You know I want to say something.
Please do. You're getting better. I like that.
Well, I mean, first of all, I did want to echo what Vice Mayor Updike said about all the hard work that went into it. So I wanted to go on record to thank the Planning Commission and EPR and Mary and her staff for all that hard work. And you can call me a nerd because I actually enjoyed reading the comprehensive plan. I mean, the narrative was really well thought out, but I really enjoyed the piece on the SWOT, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, but also the way the strategies were laid out. So my comment would be, if we adopt this plan, I would like to make sure there's a way we can use it as a guide. It's kind of, and I say that similar to what the town manager has been doing with the downtown strategy, how when something comes up before council, he kind of has tagged certain things to the downtown strategy. So to make sure that we're following this guide or the plan, that we tag things for decision making to the plan. Does that make sense?
A lot of sense. And Mr. Warner, you helped me out here. I think that's one thing that I have discussed with the previous one, in that sometimes things get lost in the weeds and that we don't give it a clear direction at times. And that's one thing we have to keep pushing and seeing where we are and what we want to do and what we can do, or probably some things are not going to work out the way we thought. But and the question to Mr. Foster is, that will technically be up to council to review, or would it go back to the Planning Commission then?
And I'll defer to Mary here and say, but there is a statutory requirement that it be reviewed every 5 years. I will say that Planning Commission has the ministerial duty primarily to do that. and does that. I mean, honestly, I think on an annual basis, there's probably one meeting where they review the contents and what things are working, what things are not, what needs to be included. But yes, on a formal basis, we'll make sure that we comply with the review requirement of state code. And, you know, if it comes time to review the whole thing, we'll certainly do that. I will say editorially, I was the author of the last two plans. This is a great improvement over what I did.
Well, I will say, you learn as you go along. And it's no different than the county fair, or town carnival, excuse me. You learn things as you go along, how to improve and make things better, and that's what we're doing. I mean, it's no fault for anybody. We just learn how to do things better, and that's the key, as long as we learn and improve. So does that answer your question? It'll kind of be up to council, and we need to keep bringing it up to review.
Right, yeah, and I guess what your point you've made is that we use it as we start making decisions for the future or on different things. We look to this and say, okay, this fits right here for this, and move forward.
And as I keep saying, 2045 is a long way away. Of course, it'll be before you know it, but it's a vision and a guide to go by. Things will change. Technology will change some of it, and people will come and go, but it's a guide and a vision to go by, basically is what it is. So, but you have to kind of read this. You made a good point. Every decision you make, you see how does that fit in with what you're doing. Yeah.
And just a couple more things I'd like to add, along with dovetailing what Councilman Foster said. I think it would be beneficial if, when we do our strategic planning things, that we have the comprehensive plan there, so that we don't have two different good plans moving parallel.
Yeah.
We want them to converge at some point, and that would also create an avenue for us to review everything, what was talked about in the strategic plan last year versus what it is we want to do this year versus how does it compare with the comprehensive plan. And the other note is, again, this is a state mandated, document, and there is a specific section in there, and you'll find it in most any community comprehensive plan. It's about parks, and we need to take a realistic look on, how we're going to meet those needs. And if we're going to keep growing residential areas, we need green spaces other than just places to mow. We need things for families to have, some type of interaction, that kind of stuff. So, so again, like I said, we need to keep these things, up front, and we need to be focused on them, with just about every time we meet, how are we meeting those particular standards that we set for ourselves?
Very good comments. What else? We're kind of on a roll now, so let's keep going.
So, on the thing what Mr. Warren said, it's like comprehensive plan, it's pretty much what everybody else has said. It's a guide to move forward or whatever. Things can change over time. Like he said, some things is working, some things is not working and stuff like that. So, it's really just having a vision to move forward in the future or whatever. So, and Mary has done a great job on putting this together or whatever with her hard work and stuff. So that's why we're here at this moment tonight voting on this to move forward for the future.
Anything else? I just want to also thank Todd, EPR. You guys did a great job. You come in. I was in there in the beginning and then rotated off. But I know you all kept it going, and Mary, thank you a lot for being involved in this. Planning Commission did a great job. I sat through some of the meetings and saw some of the slides and all that, and it was a lot of thought that went into this. So I think everybody that was involved did a great job, and here we are. Nothing else? We will, Darcy?
Well, what about the item about the reservoir land information?
We can address that later.
Okay.
Because we don't have documents here to address that. But Mary, the Planning Commission, I guess, would address that?
They actually wanted town council to have
Oh,
that conversation. Yeah, this was one they didn't feel comfortable taking out, or doing. They wanted that to be your decision.
Okay, then what did it say?
I can read that
For
for
the
you.
reservoir.
We don't own the property.
What's it?
We don't own the property around the reservoir anymore, or
Well,
Yeah.
let's see how we need to address the reference.
Yeah.
So it currently references it under, I believe, it's under the Greenway section of Parks area of trails and open space, other open spaces. And this will change, of course. The town also owns an undeveloped reservoir property that currently serves solely as a water supply and is closed to the public. This large wooded area presents a unique opportunity for future passive recreation, such as hiking, nature observation, fishing, or picnicking, if portions of the land can be open to the public. Any use of the reservoir property would require rigorous protections for water quality and safety, but with careful planning, this site could eventually provide residents with a new place to enjoy Bedford's natural environment.
This might be a great time, and for the public to hear it as well, to speak to the action we took recently with regard to that reservoir property. We resolved an ownership question raised by the Water Authority about specific parcels. But we continue to pursue plans to conserve the property and to certainly conserve the water supply. We're engaging with the Water Authority in that discussion, as well as the county, to explore possibilities of passive recreation that can be applied to it regardless of the other administrative factors. So we are pursuing that, and I forgot the name of the gentleman in Lexington who is advising me on that currently, but that is underway, so thank you for bringing that up.
So at this point, we own the property on the opposite side of the reservoir, but we're not sure what we're going to do with it at this point in time. So it technically could go into something of that nature.
Yes.
But I guess my question is, do we need to change that in any way, shape, or form from what it says now?
And again, we're talking about a document that is a long-term vision kind of thing, so not any one particular thing is nothing that's going to, hard and fast. We got to do it.
Yeah, and I will say, now Mary, correct me if I'm wrong here, none of that is etched in stone. It can be changed by planning commission or reviewed at some point in time, or when something does change, it can be revisited and changed. So I don't want to throw it back to the planning commission. I don't want to play this punt back and forth, but I do think that that's where we are right now.
If we come back with a programmatic solution in conjunction with the state, we can add that as an amendment to the comp plan.
Yeah, but at this point, all that is a possibility. As to the part we own, because we have not yet decided what we're going to do with it.
And I think that will be another discussion on another time.
Oh, yeah, but that
Yeah,
was.
it was in there, yes.
The planning commission asked us to discuss it, but, or we're just saying, I think it's okay as is.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
You good? Everybody else good? Hey, Darcy?
Mr. Evans?
Aye.
Mr. Foreman?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Ippolito?
Aye.
Mr. Updike?
Aye.
Mayor Stanley?
Aye.
Motion carries with all members voting aye.
All right, next is ordinance vacant building registry.
At its regular meeting on February 17th, 2026, the Town Council discussed development and passage of a vacant building registry ordinance. A proposed draft was used for specific reference as part of that discussion at that time. Consensus of council was to move forward with formal consideration of such an ordinance and to include a public hearing as part of that process. Since that time, staff and the town attorney have worked to develop a final working draft for consideration by council. Tonight, town council is requested to consider adoption of the vacant building registry ordinance as submitted by the town attorney.
Okay. I'm not going to ask for a motion yet, because I think there may be some discussion we want to have and figure out just exactly what we want to do and what direction we want to go. So I'll open it up for discussion.
I'll start off with maybe a talking point, maybe it leads on to something else, but Mr. Zirkle mentioned previously that the vacant building registry was kind of one of the things that was recommended by the consultants for the, to help us revitalize downtown. but I think they also said that it would be better if those types of regulations, rules, or whatever came from the business community as opposed to being mandated by council. And that is certainly, I feel like, the best case scenario. However, we still have buildings that need some type of addressing. And if, property owners, can't or won't, bring these buildings to where they are a little more marketable, then maybe, council does need to step in. But I do have some issues regarding, property rights and mandating what people can and can't do with their property. But, I'm certainly open to hear more discussion about it.
Okay. What else?
Well, I'm going to ask a question. And under derelict building, it says not lawfully connected to electric service, not lawfully connected to water or sewer service, and then it's got if required. What do they mean by if required? Well, what do we mean by if required? I thought we were requiring it by the ordinance, but.
I didn't draft that part, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, it just seems like it should be required, and then we're putting if required out again.
I'm trying to imagine a scenario where they were not required, to be honest. There may be rare exceptions where there might be some private systems that are allowed, but I'm sorry, I'm just speculating.
I mean, would it be possible to remove that if required?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm looking at Mary, just forgot. I
I'm sorry.
can't imagine there are too many exceptions.
And I don't know if that's straight out of the state definition for derelict building. I think that was the source of much of Mr. Lockaby's drafting of this, was to be in compliance with the code.
Perhaps there are communities that have private water and sewer systems, and that informs the state language. But I'm speculating, so. I imagine it is probably the state language, and I think Mr. Anderson is on top of that.
Because it just seems like it would make it a little confusing for somebody to see that. Because I've supported this all along. We want to have something to help, because we offer, as Mary said earlier, we offer a lot of carrots. But we need a stick to get people to comply sometimes. And that's what they talked about in the meetings we were at. And this is very easy so far. I mean, all you really have to do is have a building with electric service and water connection to it. So, and if you have those for 6 months period, then you're not a derelict building or a vacant building. So, I mean, it makes it very easy. So, so that's something that I thought we needed to look at, that if required, and I know you're looking at it now, sir.
Mr. Mayor, the statute that Mr. Lockaby was referring to, had to refer to, does speak to not lawfully connected to any required water or sewer service from a utility service provider. So the language that he used was close to that, and I think gets to the same point. But the derelict building definition is in statute, and includes this concept of what is required.
So they have to have it. So it's saying it is required to have it.
Well,
if it's required to have it.
Well, what I would kind of surmise is that most places you got to have electric, but some commercial buildings may not have water connections or a restroom or anything, so that would not be required because they don't have water or sewage coming into the building. But that'd be the only reason I would think that would be there. Because you do have some buildings that don't have those water or sewage. But everybody's got to have electric because
I think you may be right there, and it says or, so it either has electric or it has sewage connection.
Yeah.
So it's not both.
And I think it's one thing that it's the terms they use to cover everything that could possibly happen. And I will say this, back to what Vice Mayor Updike said, this stems from the downtown strategy. And I thank Mary, I thank her 100 times, I'll probably thank her another 100 times before I leave for this, getting that grant, because it's given us guidance as to what we can do. And it's kind of like the comprehensive plan, it's a guide. And this is something they said that we're encouraged to be done, in that, no, it doesn't hit them very hard. It's very light, but it's a start. And it's something that has not been done up to this point. And until you start something, and then, as I say, like a lot of things, we can look at it in 6 months or a couple of months. And do we want to tweak it? Do we want to change it? But this is a start to start addressing some of the vacant buildings that may fit this model. That I don't know if they're in here or not, but it's very, I would call this, for what it's worth, very lightweight. But it can be changed, and it can be made to hit a little harder whenever council wants to do that. But it's more than what we've had, in that, I know I'll just be blunt. We get criticized if we don't do anything, and we get criticized when we do something. So this is a start, and it's something to try to address the vacancy. So.
And I knew one of the public comments talked about the criminal blight in it, but I think it's something we can leave in it, and then if we want to expand it in the future to other areas in the downtown area. I don't think we'll have any criminal blight in our downtown areas by this definition when I read it. But if we decide to expand the areas in the future, we could.
And that was one of the questions that I had, you know, is there a reason why we are making requirements of buildings in a certain section of the city or of the town that we're not requiring buildings elsewhere to meet those same standards?
Well, it's only because this was called the downtown strategy. It addressed downtown now.
I understand where it came from. I'm just saying, couldn't we apply that to all towns?
Well, I guess my question would be, this was modeled for downtown, the downtown area. If we wanted something to expand to the other parts of town, I would suggest a different ordinance. But we can discuss expanding this, but I think this was modeled or targeted for downtown, the downtown district. But if we want to expand that to the other parts of the town, then we could probably get something very similar, but of course it would hit a lot harder.
We'll just take out the reference to downtown district.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you take that out, it would be the whole town.
Then it would apply to everyone.
That would
Okay.
apply. I mean, yes, completely. But,
So, a couple of questions myself is, I was going to talk to Councilman Foreman about the criminal blight, but also where you sit over here, Washington Street is split, because, you know, one side of Washington Street have businesses too, just as well as the other side of Washington Street. So how can you break the street up as when you have businesses on the right-hand side going up Washington Street, and on the left-hand side you have businesses? I mean, that just don't make sense. I mean, that's not picking on any businesses on the right-hand side, but it should be fair if you're gonna focus this on downtown and business-related things. And also, you talked about, I read a couple of the papers that people have sent in here. A couple of good points in, a few points are talking about higher fees. I don't see where we need to really punish anybody. I think we need to just show them and help them to move forward with their buildings and stuff like that. So that's my opinion.
The vacant building registry, is that gonna be listed online like the other vacant building registries? Or is that just gonna be something kept here within our office?
We will follow the direction of council. Our understanding is the intent is to publish it on the website.
And you'd be able to obtain it through the Freedom of Information Act anyhow.
Yeah, but I was looking tonight through, and you know, I'm all for doing downtown. I'm one of the people that's been all about let's fix the downtown. But the vacant building registry, if you look on there, they get treated very nasty, really nasty. And their buildings get overlooked, their insurance gets canceled. Some of them are forced to lose their buildings. There's a lot goes on once you put them on there. And I understand that they say that we, like guys, should give them a lot of carrots, but I passed out 18 applications to different businesses downtown to tell them, yes, we have help here, but then at the same time, they was told, well, you gotta wait. So how are you gonna punish somebody when you tell them that you gotta wait? Yeah, I'm giving you this hand, but you can't have it right now. You gotta wait for it. So, you know, yeah, we need to help them and we need to get them fixed, but I don't think they need to be punished by putting on the vacant building registry and humiliated by everybody. And then plus two, once they get their building fixed, it's still gonna show that they was on there. So, you know, it's kind of like when you get a ticket, it stays on there and it follows you around.
But if you read it, all they have to do is keep electricity on in the building.
Yeah, but suppose you can't get electricity in the building, it's not ready for it yet. You know, not every building downtown.
It's an older building.
Is that a building permit?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not immediate, they have to be over 6 months.
Yeah, they have time for that, to correct it, if they are in that situation, which I don't know.
I mean, I just don't want to see somebody go out, you know, tomorrow and get slammed on a vacancy, on a vacant building registry that.
It won't happen that quick.
It has to be over in excess of 6 months.
But when does the 6 months start? From today or from?
We can say that on Frank, we can say a start date for the ordinance if you want.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I do want to see town fixed and you know, I've done a lot to try to help to get the town fixed, but at the same time, I don't want to ridicule people too, that, you know, sometimes it's just not as simple as you think when you know, you're in the building to do. Until you actually have owned the building downtown, ran the business downtown, and dealt with the whole downtown, it's nothing easy to have to deal with.
Well, most people who own the buildings, if they got tenants in there, they're gonna take care of the building and keep them up to date and keep them going if they want to keep the tenants in there.
So I have.
You need to rent the buildings downtown.
Well,
I mean, thank God I got a good landlord now, but I've had some rough ones, let me tell
Well,
you.
that's my point, Jay, and I'm not gonna argue with you, but I'm just saying, most rental property, if you want to keep a tenant in there, you're gonna take care of it and keep it up to code and whatever else you have to do. You're not gonna let it dilapidate, because then you're gonna move out and go somewhere else.
Well, that's why I moved 6 times.
That's my
Yeah.
point. What do you mean? So what do y'all want to say? What do you want to do here? How do you want to phrase this?
Well, I still have a couple of questions.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's okay. I mean, I know it's, but I just have a couple of things. I mean, one of the things on the second page, paragraph B, which talks about the owner or owners of buildings that have been vacant for a continuous period of 12 months or more, and then it has 3 stipulations, and then it says or for the 4th stipulation. And my understanding, the way that it is grammatically, is that that and applies to the first 3 stipulations, that it would have to be within the downtown district, at least right now, and it'd have to be a derelict building, and it'd have to have criminal blight. And to me, those 3 criteria, I would think that it would be in the downtown district and a derelict building or criminal blight, because the criminal blight is just self-explanatory. So I don't think does that make sense, not meeting the first three criteria as far as having "and" in there? So I would say one, are within the downtown district if we continue to have it at that, and derelict building, or criminal blight, or in which the town manager designates. And that's one comment. The other is, we talk about earlier it being vacant for 6 months, and I do wonder why, if vacant is, or I guess derelict building is explained as 6 months, then why we wait 12 months for it to be continuously vacant before we act on it?
Do you want to table this and wait for Mr. Lockerbie to get back and explain his,
Sorry.
his explanations better?
Well, I do, I'm struggling a little bit with this paragraph B myself.
So it would be 12 months from this, but I do struggle, I do have had the same questions that Councilman Foster had about and it has to be, I read it also the same way, that it has to be criminal blight also.
All inclusive.
All inclusive between all three, or
Yeah.
it would have to be the last name.
That's the way I see it also. Changes? Comments?
Why don't we just table it and let's clean it up and let Mr. Lockerbie come back and then have a solid, strong thing where we can get these questions out of the way. It's not going, we don't need to table it for 6 months or nothing
No,
like that.
till
But
the
table
next-
it to maybe
till
the next
next
meeting or
meeting.
meeting after that, so something like that. Have it done before the first of
So
January.
the only question I would have is, do we want to leave it as just downtown, or do we want to expand it? Because that's what the vice mayor brought up, so I wanted to ask that question.
What do you all?
Doesn't it have to be all of town?
Well, right now it's written just for the downtown.
Yeah, but I think when you look it up by law, it's supposed to be all, it goes from like
Well,
one to all of them.
that would be up to the attorney.
Well,
Well,
just,
The way it's written now, it's just downtown.
we can pose that question
Yeah.
for Mr. Lockerbie to
Yes, sir.
consider.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We will consult on that.
You have your mission if you decide to accept it. Is that okay? Do we want to table it? Do we need a vote on that, or
I don't think any action on this basically tabled.
general consensus? Okay. With-
I think it's a good idea to
Okay.
table it.
Yeah, I think so
agree with you.
too.
What's the questions we have?
All right. All right. Next is consideration of a formal banner policy. Mr. Warner.
On two separate occasions, March 3rd, 2026 and March 17th, 2026, the Streets Committee of Council met to review and discuss development of a formal policy related to a consistent policy governing the locations and time frames for display of banners other than town government banners on municipal libraries. Based on direction provided by the committee to staff, such a policy has been drafted and submitted for discussion and consideration. Tonight, Town Council is requested to consider adoption of a Town of Bedford banner policy document as submitted for review.
All right, you've had a chance to read that and study it. Do I hear a motion? Or do we want to discuss it?
I think it needs to be some discussion.
All right, then we can do that. What is on your mind? Oh, wait.
Go ahead. Oh, I guess I'm just a little confused on one of the, well, Mr. Parker, his comments earlier. If we've got 19 of the Bedford Board banners going to be displayed throughout most of the year, except for the one at Christmas time, and I guess when the art things are. And we also have the Vietnam Veterans banners. Is it placement that you're being worried about? I guess that's my question, or is it just placement?
I think it's placement and length of time that other banners are displayed.
Yeah. you know, and I spoke to Councilman Haley about this earlier, and he was reviewing some other places' policies and had some ideas. I mean, if you want to share them.
Well, my ideas is this, and I mean, no disrespect to nobody, but you know, I read the policies like Rocky Mountain and stuff like that. They don't single out any groups or any special organization. They just put the banners in general where it has, like, I'm gonna read you what Rocky Mountain does. Just bear with me. And you know, this will rectify a lot of things, hopefully, where it make it easy for all of us. So, Rocky Mountain. A person granting permission to display a banner over a public right-of-way or public medium shall reimburse the town reasonable custody. So we don't have to charge. It's just reading the thing to let you know. But it says in the end of the thing, the town manager shall determine the cost of the removal of the banner using the cost of labor or equipment and or the signs of town employees shall remove banners. You know, the whole point is we use a lot of town employees to put banners up. And they pretty much take a day or 2 days to put banners up downtown. You know, I'm not saying that we charge, but I think it should be some kind of process or application where you fill this application out, give it to the town manager. Let's take town council at the equation about this part of the banner thing right here. Said, well, any new banners or any other request to display a banner should be established formally and shall be reviewed by town council. You know, really, I think we got a lot of other things that make decision on what banners go up on our street. That's more to the economic side or more to the town manager side or whatever. But, you know, I think it should be a universal policy where, you know, if you want your banner up this month, put in an application, we'll put it up for this month, and it makes it fair to everybody. Because, you know, there's other times of the year, say February is Black History Month, just using that for a sample. Then you come up here, you got October Breakfast Council Month. So, I mean, it makes it more, and like I said, we can keep the banners in certain areas downtown or whatever, but what it does, it gives other opportunities for other people to put different banners up. And remember, we was on Bedford Main Street. So the Bedford Boys banners actually came from the D-Day, and they paid for them banners. So in the process, we had the Bedford Overlord banners that Main Street created. That was downtown. I mean, we are rich in history, but, you know, let's give everybody opportunity to put different banners, Vietnam veterans. So, I mean, we got Civil War. How about the Iraq veterans? How about the Desert Storm veterans and stuff like that? So there's a lot of stuff in the way that we can display pride in our town. I like its size because the size will minimize a lot of aggravation on a lot of town employees to try to put banners up. So, you know, you see some towns you go into, they have banners coming straight into town. So we can run banners all the way up to CVS up here to make it look nice for us coming in town. Run it all the way to D-Day, run it all the way to 460 out here. Run it all the way down past middle school, maybe Longwood. It gives them the opportunity for everybody in town to have different ideas and stuff on banners. And, you know, a universal policy will just be easy instead of organization, because you read Lynchburg, Salem, all that policy, they don't need no such groups. They just put banners, what the policy is, what can be done, how you do it. And that makes it easy for everybody.
There's a couple of things that Mr. Parker pointed out that from my perspective, there's no argument. One is that D-Day and those servicemen that died in that, you know, they deserve recognition, and at least for this community, should not be forgotten. Understand that in other places of the world, outside of our little slice of heaven here, that people may forget. But that's why we have organizations such as D-Day and the Bedford Boys Tribute Center to promote that particular aspect. And we also have the Vietnam veterans. And, one of the comments that Mr. Parker made was that, basically no one service member's sacrifice is any greater or lesser than another serviceman's sacrifice. And I totally agree with that. As far as a governing body, I think that we should make sure that we recognize each particular historical event of that nature equally. We need to make sure that it's all done equally as far as we're concerned. Now, again, we've got, organizations that, are here to, make sure that D-Day is not forgotten, that World War II is not forgotten. And we have an organization that, is here to make sure that, the veterans that died in Vietnam, that they're not forgotten either. I think we need to honor both of those. And, and if another, organization says that, yeah, in time that these things may be forgotten, maybe, but not here. So, that's kind of where I am with it. That we need to make sure that both aren't forgotten.
I just want to say that the 15th of this month was 1 year that I started working on the banners, the new banners that we have, working with Leslie, with the Vietnam vets, working with April, with D-Day, to come up with these new banners. The banners we had in town are over 20 years old. And there shouldn't need to be all of this over switching a 20-year-old banner. When you have a Vietnam vet thing here, you should automatically know Vietnam vet flags need to go here. When the Bedford Boys march down Main Street, okay, take them down Main Street. The historical things that Leslie talks about for the museum, those are people that really did something for Bedford. But in creating banners, if y'all only knew what a headache it was, 7 months just to get a copy of one to see, because it can't have a church, it can't have a business, it can't have this, it can't have that. I mean, after thing, after thing, after thing, after thing, and, going to see about something and being told no, and then going to see about something and say, I don't have time for you, and, it was just a horrendous deal to deal with just to say, and Stacy knows because he did the Christmas banners. It is nothing easy to create banners for this town. I mean, you go through it to create a banner for this town. And, this is, to me, this is nonsense. It's the right thing to do, but it's like Stacy said, we have better stuff to do than to sit here and say, oh, you can do this or you can do that. If the person that wants to come up and they want to hang their banners up, God help them. More power to them. Don't come see me because I ain't helping you. But I mean, I don't think it's something the council should be involved in either on that. I think it should be, the right thing to do for wherever the stuff is. Because that way, Ken's getting his banners leading down. Because when they're going to leave Ken's, when people come in my restaurant all the time, they say they're going to D-Day. Or they came in and they got their little D-Day stickers on. I ask them, have you been down to the Bedford Boys Tribute Center? Some say yes, some say no. I send them there. We talked about taking some of the Remember banners, leading them up Crenshaw Street, up to the Welcome Center so they can follow the banners to and from town. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we could do, but that's not for us. Just let it be and let it go. And, I understand that the Bedford Boys went all the way up this way. But you know what? There's 26 light poles from Bridge Street down to where you turn it, whatever that street is, Crenshaw, what you call it? There's 26 poles. There's only 20 Bedford Boy banners. You know, there's 20 poles this way. There's only 14 poles, because trust me, we painted them. And you know, people do stop and read those banners. When we was painting those banners, you would be surprised how many people you see looking at those banners, stopping and taking pictures with those banners. You know, when the Vietnam veteran banners was up there, people was constantly, with the Vietnam banners being up there, they see that name, they can look at those faces right there in front of them. So it's kind of a common sense thing. But I don't think we need to be involved in it.
Well, and I guess the only response I have to that is that I think the council needs to do things necessary to keep us out of civil litigation. And if we don't have some type of policy and somebody fills out an application and gets turned down and we don't have a policy, I think that weakens our position. And I mean, the attorneys can weigh in on that, but you know, that just, you know, my layman's outside view of things.
So we have to have a little guidance of some kind, and there is a liability issue involved here too, to where you can't just let anybody hang banners or things like that. But I'm misunderstanding the point here in that, are we focusing on when the individual banners go up or where? What are we, I'm not sure what we're discussing at the moment.
Well, the way that this is written out, it addresses both the where banners are hung and the times during the year that they are.
Are we okay with that, I guess, is the question.
Well, the problem is, the Bedford Boys banner's always been up on this end. So, I mean, if you put them down on that end, I mean, you gotta compromise, either you gotta either put here or there. And, I'm gonna say this, and I'm trying to make nobody mad, promising people stuff shouldn't happen. My point is, you're talking about, if you wanna put the Bedford Boys up one side of the street and the Vietnam up the other side of the street, to make it even, to be fair to everybody. But you know, the whole point is, it's like I was talking about banner. We're not taking away from respecting our dead and our people that fought for our country and that actually lived here in Bedford. We was the highest number of boys lost during World War II.
Per capita.
So you got World War I, you got the Revolution War, you got the Civil War, you got other stuff like I was talking about that other people in Halifax, I'm gonna use this example, they got veterans that's still alive and got banners up on the street. So, you know, that's different stuff. I know you made a comment, Vice Mayor Updike, that our town is based on war. It is based on war. Our town is a war-based town because of what the heritage and history we have, not taking that away. But the whole point is placement of banners and this and that. You know, the town's been putting up banners and we hadn't been involved with it for years. And now we're trying to get us, we have a policy, put the policy down, let our town employees take care of it. That's what I'm trying to do. So we do not, as council, need to get in here and tell people where to put banners up downtown. That's my opinion.
So you're talking about F?
Yeah.
Where we have to, we'll
Yes.
review it every time somebody wants to come and put
Yes.
a different banner up.
That's my opinion. But
So what is the rest of council's thoughts? What direction do we want to go? I mean, leave this as is, tweak it, or where are we? What do you think?
I agree with Stacy. Why should we get involved in this? I mean,
Well, let's ask the
we're
attorney.
not buying any banners on them. No, I mean,
they had banners running all the way down Jackson Street one time,
Yeah.
Bedford Main Street did. I mean,
I agree with you.
let's let our town staff take care of it, give our, and I'm gonna say this, sometimes we overstep our bounds with Mr. Warner, and we tell Mr. Warner to take care of stuff, and then we go behind and do different, but let Mr. Warren and the Public Works Director take care of this, and we take ourselves out of it.
I do like the standards on it, though.
Yeah.
I like them being standardized, and I like that.
I'm with you, Todd. I like something in order.
Yes.
I don't like, what do we want to do is the question.
Well, legally, where would we stand?
That's right.
If we just allow, this town manager to do something, and if another one comes in later on, he or she has a different viewpoint, and so that, then there is no consistency, there is no, so what's our legal standing in turning this over to the town manager? And then how does our town manager feel about, creating internal policy to address something like that?
They've been doing it for years.
We also had a lower tax rate for years. Look where we are now.
Yeah.
So we can't base it on what we did for years.
Let's tell it like it is.
The only question,
Things are going to change.
yeah, the only question I would have about it is with what's being said here, and this is where I would ask a question, and I think it's very similar to what the vice mayor's asking, but you're putting specific ones on here. What happens when somebody else comes and wants to add a banner to this list? And they're restricted from doing it because it's someone else that wants to do it. And does that add liability? If you're talking about liability, does that add liability because you're taking the opportunity from someone else away from doing it?
Well, we have 94 polls.
Yeah, we have light poles everywhere.
No, I'm just saying by listing them out like this and saying this and this and this and this one.
Mr. Lockerbie did address that in the streets committee
Yeah.
meeting.
There are some kind of liabilities to certain, I forgot how he said it.
The ones that, Mr. Mayor, the ones that are specified in here, where you have the specific guidance, I mean, Mr. Lockerbie has reviewed that and approved it, and indicated to me that those don't create First Amendment problems, which is what I think what we're concerned about here. The remaining category, which is F, does say that these requests does give town council some guidance on what it can accept, or gives you the ability to say, maybe not this one. But the banners cannot establish formal statement, speech, or position on behalf of the town. Those are words, legal words that are designed to help keep you from running into First Amendment problems and getting sued. But I'm not sure that just throwing it on the city or town manager is going to change the risk profile.
And it covers some of that right there in number F. I'm referring to other banners. Right now, we're addressing the ones that are normally up. Do we have any consensus? Do we want to just pass this and tweak it? Or any issues that Mr. Warner has, he can come back to us?
Well, were all these, because I wasn't involved in this policy, were all the people on this, because we have Mr. Parker, the only one that spoke today about it, were they all involved in the conversation of forming this policy?
We have heard from Vestal Boys, from D-Day, from Vietnam, Leslie, Historical.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
Only after the fact of it being submitted.
Yes. So these are the ones that are normally put up during the year.
And they're normally up all the time, all of them.
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
time. It's just
correct.
placement.
And
Really,
I think-
placement's what this is, what the controversy.
And back to what Councilman Haley said, probably Bridge Street would be D-Day, maybe East Main, Vietnam, I don't know. That could be decided. But that's reviewed and looked at.
All I'm saying is this.
You got 94 polls.
Yep. I ain't saying polls. I
52
counted
banners.
counted polls years ago. Well, my point is, I think we do need a policy. I don't mind the policy. I just think the policy needs to be cleaned up a little bit and get things where it would be fair to everybody. That's my opinion. That's all I'm gonna say. Because I've told the town manager that we do need a policy on the banners. But I think it needs to be fair and cleaned up. That's all I'm gonna say. And
Are we gonna have banners for the parade? That's all I'm gonna say.
For the 250.
Because we wasted time to take banners down at the end of March, well, in April, and then we didn't put nothing back up.
Okay. I don't know that, Jay. That's for Christmas.
Well, no, but I'm saying if we got people coming for a parade, and it's gonna be a military parade through town, we want something up there.
That I'm sure will be. But at the same time, let's decide on something on this right now. That's where we are. We're in April here. Are you all okay with this? To pass it as is, or do you want to tweak it, or?
I like to tweak it. Take it,
Okay.
cancel out of it.
All right.
Yep.
Councilman Haley says tweak it. What about the rest of you? You want to pass it as is, or?
Can we pass it and take F out?
But I don't think we'd want to do that.
Because F allows other banners to be posted
Yes.
at other street lamps or light posts or,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
And that's the very thing that Mr. Lockley mentioned in the Streets Committee. Yeah, that covers us and covers the town. All right.
Well, I guess the only thing that I hear from, Councilman Haley and maybe Councilman Foreman was that in F where it says, on behalf of the town shall be reviewed by town council, then maybe it's just, you want to get out of the business, so maybe it should be by town manager, reviewed by a town manager. For that F.
For F?
I mean, we never, I'm gonna say, as long as I sit on council, I don't remember us ever voting on any of the banners. And I'm being honest. You can ask Leslie, she's been seeing me up here for years. We have never voted on banners, it's really just been I'm gonna say Bedford Main Street contacted Mr. Warren when we put up the Bedford Remember banner on the Condé D-Day. You know what, they went up a couple of weeks later.
Okay, so what is the solution here?
Exactly.
Let's get down to nuts and bolts. Okay. What are we going to do? Do we want to vote this as is? And let Mr. Warner handle it from here, or?
Let me ask the question the same way.
Yes, sir.
Can we vote on this with two changes? One, we redesignate historical significant persons to the recommendation that Leslie made.
We're going to do that anyway, right?
And in F, where it says reviewed by town council, review that by town manager.
I think you hit the nail on the head.
I mean, I would be fine with that. Are we still, let me ask you a question, are we still placing polls and where stuff's supposed to be going, or is it just gonna be first come, first served?
For all other polls, first come, first served.
Outside of these.
Outside of
what's already there.
Yeah, outside of the three categories that we have to deal with presently.
I mean, we can vote on that if you want to. I mean, I don't have no problem with that. But
Is that a motion you made?
That would be the amendment to the, we haven't made the motion.
We haven't made a motion yet.
You made a motion, yeah.
So then, yes, that would be the motion.
Mr. Warner, did you get those changes?
I got it.
Okay, so
We got Leslie's changes, and you'll let me handle all the ones that are not, I can handle.
he can handle it.
Matter of fact, I'll
Can we
talk to you and we'll make it happen.
Are we okay with that? Okay? Who wants to make the motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve
With the changes.
With the changes that we have listed.
I'll
Vice Mayor-
second.
Vice Mayor Updike made the vote motion, Councilman Haley made the second. Any further discussion?
No, please.
Darcy?
Mr. Foster.
Aye.
Mr. Haley.
Aye.
Mr. Bolito.
Aye.
Mr. Updike.
Aye.
Mr. Evans.
Aye.
Mr. Foreman.
Aye.
Mayor Stanley.
Aye.
Motion carries with all members voting aye.
All right, next on the agenda, speed limit change on Longwood Avenue. Mr. Warner.
At a regular meeting on October 8, 2024, Town Council voted unanimously to apply a speed limit of 25 miles per hour to the entirety of Longwood Avenue within town limits. This action was taken in response to a recommendation made by the Public Safety Committee of Town Council on September 24, 2024. At its meeting on March 3, 2026, members of the Streets Committee of Town Council moved to revisit this decision and to consider restoring the previous speed limit of 35 miles per hour in both directions on Longwood Avenue between its intersection with Oakwood Street and its intersection with Grove Street. Tonight, Town Council is requested to consider the recommendation made by the Streets Committee at its meeting on March 3rd, 2026.
All right, your motion?
So moved.
Vice Mayor Updike made the motion, second. Come on, don't go to sleep. Somebody make.
All right, I'll do it.
All right, Councilman Ippolito. Discussion.
I have a discussion.
All right.
So 35, me and Councilman Foreman was on a public safety committee when this happened. And, you know, I'm not picking on the mayor, I'm not picking on streets committee, but there should have been a public safety committee meeting on this instead of a streets committee on this about changing the speed limit when the public safety committee actually changed the speed limit. So 35 miles out all the way up to Grove Street, you know, that gives that opportunity for people when they come off right after you pass the graveyard, and you can hit up to about 45, and you're still almost running 35, 45 around that curve before you get up out to the middle school. I think, my opinion, is keep it at 25 because it confuses our citizens, it confuses everybody else. It's a safety issue on top of it. And the whole point is, we just changed this less than a year and a half ago. And I think it would be ridiculous of us going back and changing it back to 35 because a couple of people complain about it. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a question. What was the reason with the street committee changing it? What's the reason? We stood up in the, you remember the hot summer, we stood up there on that woman's grass, bugs eating us up, sweating, running us down?
No, let's make
We
it,
changed it.
let's make it
It's
clear,
safe.
let's make it clear.
Yeah.
It was mentioned, and I said, we can discuss anything.
Yeah.
I'm willing to discuss anything that they want to put on the agenda.
Yeah.
And that was a discussion. I've heard just as many people complain about 25 as I heard about 35. So people don't respond to surveys. If we did one, you get about 50-50. Now, I go that way about every day of the week, unless I'm going down the food line, but I dare say not many people drive 25, it's more. When it's 25, it's 30, when it's 35, it's 40, but no, I do agree with what the people who live along that street said, and I reiterate what I said earlier. I'm glad y'all came tonight and said what you did. So, no, it was only a comment.
Suggestion.
Yeah, comment.
It's just a comment.
Yeah, that's
So
all it was.
So that's why they changed.
And we're talking about it, and I think we're getting a very good response.
And, you know, ever since we adjusted the speed limit from 35 to 25, I've heard more people that weren't in favor of that particular action than in favor of that particular action. Now, as far as the people that were complaining about the speed limit being reduced, whether they live on Longwood Avenue or not, I don't know. I would venture to say that they probably do not, but I also venture to say that they are people that travel that road on a daily basis. And so, you know, they had concerns about it being lowered. in the 27 years that I worked for the police department, I don't ever remember Longwood Avenue being a traffic hazard at 35, or as the mayor said, probably closer to 40. You know. Chief.
Well, I got complaints every day about speeding, every day about.
But yes, got complaints, but
about the whole.
But how many traffic accidents do we have?
I don't know. I don't have those details. That'd be a good.
I don't recall working any.
Well, they had one there, right there,
speed.
one right in front of his house where it wasn't speeding though, but they had a pole with
Okay.
a tractor trailer
Right.
on the street.
Right, and you know that's you know that's not a
Yeah.
speed, that's not a speed issue. That was
But
just
there was also
driving
there was a
attention.
child struck in the street though.
Yes.
Yes, there was a child struck on that street when the car was speeding during Halloween.
Right, and even at Halloween, even with all the signage that we had up there, you know,
That was
traffic-
before the signage was up. That was when we started doing it. After that.
Okay.
Chief Day was there then.
Okay. So yes, you know, I've had, you know, more concerns about the speed limit being reduced than I've had, you know, people, you know, speaking tonight. So that's another reason why it was brought up. You know, I don't think that, again, you know, at 35, you know, back when I was here, you know, I didn't see that as being a traffic safety issue. You know, we addressed the traffic, and at certain times we heightened enforcement, you know, during those areas. But again, we have, like the mayor said, we probably had, you know, as many people that wanted up as we wanted it down. They had concerns, and again, that's why it was brought here to be discussed.
I will
So
say-
I don't think that it was, you know, nonsense for us to discuss it. I think that any type of, you know, citizen concern needs to be addressed.
And it's like CG said, we're willing to listen to anything and hear anything out. But like I said, it's just be senseless on our part to have to go down and change it again. Then somebody else will complain about it, and then we'll have to change it again. And then we just keep rolling back and forth and wasting time and employees' time, putting signs up and stuff like that. And it's, you know, and it's just off a day a little bit, like Mr. Warner said. He had like 3 or 4 different designs, you know, that 4-lane high, that's what causes all this 35 and 25 stuff, is that little almost a mile 4-lane highway right there in the middle of the town. I mean, they was off at one time before, put up the little things in the middle to slow down traffic. But, you know, I just think it's great to bring it up, it's great to talk about it, but I think it should just stay the same. That's my opinion.
I will say this, that when we voted on it last time, we voted, I think, on 4 different streets at one time. It wasn't one street voted on, it was all lump sum, and Longwood was one of those and we probably should have pulled them out separately and voted on them, but we did not vote on each one separate. But no, I think at some point in time, I think that area will take care of itself with some revisions, some VDOT funding, and it'll be back to 2 lanes like it was back 50s and part of the 60s. So there's change on the way, I'm sure. Are we okay? Oh, nope.
Well, yeah, since everybody else got to talk, since I live on Longwood, I've got to say something. So I just, something real quick, you know, that half-mile stretch we're talking about on Longwood, it's got 37 driveways and 6 road intersections. Obviously, stopping distances increase with speeds. It's safer to maintain the lower speed. And so, for instance, we get a lot of semi-trucks coming through there, which aren't supposed to be coming through there, but they do anyway. You know, if they're fully loaded and they're traveling at 35 miles an hour, it takes them twice as long stopping distance to stop than it does at 25 miles an hour. So people pulling out, kids playing or whatever, you've got a semi-truck that takes almost over 200 feet to stop at 35 miles an hour. It only takes about 80 to 100 feet at 25 miles an hour. Yeah, the other thing, the PD had a radar, whatever it's called.
Speed check down on the
Yeah,
telephone.
speed camera type thing, whatever, in December. So just in December, one-way traffic, the total volume was 101,444 vehicles in the month. That's at an average of 3,272 vehicles a day coming one way on Longwood. So it's easy to extrapolate that. You've got about 6,500 cars going both ways on Longwood. And even if you have 15% speeders, that's 1,000 people speeding per day on that stretch of the area. Whether, and not to denigrate what the Vice Mayor said about time, but whether you have 27 years or 60 years in law enforcement and you never had an accident, that's not a reason to raise the speed limit to 35 miles an hour. And lastly, I'll just say that not long ago, we adopted a bike walk plan, and it recommends that we place bicycle pavement markings on Longwood. So instead of increasing the speed like we've talked about because of 4 lanes, how about we restrip Longwood down to 2 lanes with a center turning lane and follow a plan we adopted by also providing bike lanes. That's all I'll say.
And something like that's probably to come at some point, yeah.
And replacing the park signs. Okay. Parking so they're not pink and red.
Working on that.
Any more comments?
Just to echo what Mr. Foster said, with the tractor and trailers stopping at 35 and 25, I witness that pretty much every day. So I can agree to that. Stopping distance.
Well,
stopping distance on vehicles.
I think tractor trailers do get.
And cars, same way.
Yeah, it's GPS that I think messes them up at times. They've not been here and don't know what they're getting into. But that's neither here nor there. Are we good? To vote? I think so. So we made the motions, didn't we? Yeah. All right, Darcy.
Mr. Ely?
No.
Mr. Ippolito?
No.
Mr. Updike?
No.
I'm sorry, Mr. Casey?
No.
Sorry. Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Foreman?
No.
Mr. Foster?
No.
Mayor Stanley?
No.
Motion fails with all members voting no.
Okay, next, resolution approval of Central Virginia Safety Action Plan. Mr. Warner.
Central Virginia Planning District Commission received a U.S. DOT Safe Streets for All grant to advance a collaborative regional approach to improve safety along the region's roadways, with special emphasis on reducing fatal and serious accidents. The Central Virginia Safety Action Plan, Safe Streets for All, documents the areas within the region that have the highest number of serious and fatal accidents, establishes performance measures, and provides programmatic and project recommendations to improve safety for all users along the region's roadways. The plan was developed through an extensive stakeholder engagement process and aligns with the Commonwealth Transportation Board adopted Virginia's Strategic Highway Safety Plan, which establishes a target to reduce roadway fatalities and serious injuries by 50% by 2045. CVSAP was adopted by both the Central Virginia Planning District Commission and the Central Virginia Transportation Planning Organization on November 20th, 2025. By adopting the Central Virginia Safety Action Plan, Safe Streets for All, the town of Bedford will support the goal to improve safety along its roadways and the goal to reduce serious and fatal accidents by 50% by the year 2045. There is no penalty by VDOT or federal transportation for not meeting safety goals. Rather, adopting the CVSAP document and committing to the goal to reduce serious and fatal accidents provides access to certain federal transportation planning and construction program funds. Included is eligibility to apply for U.S. DOT SS4A planning and construction program, which just opened a $1 billion application round with applications due May 26th. Tonight, Town Council is requested to adopt the resolution approving the Central Virginia Safety Action Plan, Safe Streets for All.
All right, you've heard the reading. Do I hear a motion?
Yeah.
Councilman Ippolito, how about a second?
Second.
Councilman Evans, any discussion, any questions, any comments? Darcy?
Mr. Ippolito?
Aye.
Mr. Updike?
Aye.
Mr. Evans?
Aye.
Mr. Foreman?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Healy?
Aye.
Mayor Stanley?
Aye.
Motion carries with all members voting aye.
All right. Grant management agreement and budget amendment for SAFER grant received by the Bedford Volunteer Fire Department. Mr. Warner.
Bedford Volunteer Fire Department was awarded a grant in the amount of $258,000 from the Department of Homeland Security. This grant award covers a period of 4 years and is subject to annual caps. The award provides for 2 separate programs, which include a tuition assistance program and a pay-per-call program. For the current year, the program awards $20,000 towards tuition assistance and $40,000 towards pay-per-call stipends to volunteers. The pay-per-call program starts at $5 per call at a minimum participation level of 10% of call volume each year, as well as a requirement that volunteers attend 25% of training drills and 50% of meetings. The per-call rate increases based on the increased response percentage for $1 for each 5% above that minimum. This program was previously initiated through another SAFER grant program. The new award would allow the town to continue the existing pay-per-call program through FEMA grant assistance. The award was issued directly to the Bedford Volunteer Fire Department. In order for the town to administer the grant, the town needs to enter into a grant management services agreement with the Bedford Volunteer Fire Department and amend the existing budget to include the grant award for the first year allocation. Tonight, Town Council is requested to approve the attached budget amendment, which will appropriate budget to the general ledger accounts and authorize the town manager to enter into a grant management agreement with the Bedford Volunteer Fire Department.
All right. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Councilman Haley, and second,
Yeah.
Councilman Ippolito. I think this is pretty well self-explanatory. Any questions, comments? Darcy?
Mr. Updike?
Aye.
Mr. Evans?
Aye.
Mr. Foreman?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Healy?
Aye.
Mr. Ippolito?
Aye.
Mayor Stanley?
Aye.
Motion carries with all members voting aye.
All right. PSA moved to 1 month.
Yes, I think I can be quick in the interest of everybody here. So according to the town code, the price cost adjustment goes into effect automatically every 6 months. We are set to see that take effect May 1st, and I'm going to defer to Mr. Wagner and Ms. Cantrell to tell you the details, but we're looking at a pretty significant increase, and frankly, all of us have had several high bills lately anyway. So what we'd like for you to do is to defer the automatic action of the PCA for at least 1 month to give us a chance to find a way to offset or defer those costs for all of our electric customers, including ourselves.
Yes. I think that's very reasonable. Do we understand that? Yes.
Yeah.
You okay with it?
Yeah, I'm just curious what it's gonna cost us.
Yeah, that's my question.
Well,
Go ahead and tell them, John or Ann.
To defer for 1 month, what's it gonna cost us?
I'm sorry, what?
What would the PCA cost be May 1st if we enacted all of it?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be significant. It would be, I don't even know if I want to say this, but it would be about 2.4 cents per kilowatt hour in addition to the current rate, which translates to, for the typical 1,000 kilowatt hour per month customer, of $24.32.
Okay, so if we delay it for 1 month, what's the cost gonna be to the town? Approximately. I know you can't
Actually,
keep that.
we waited as long as we could to calculate it because we wanted to get March into it. March was favorable, so it reduced the amount that we had, our under recovery was. I don't know, I wasn't suggesting we recalculate. We could do that using April data.
But, yeah, but we gotta cover that cost for 1 month, right? Is what I'm thinking. Is what
For you mean the shortfall?
For- yeah,
We've already paid for it.
From
It's already been
May
paid.
until June, we have to cover that month, correct? If we delay it for a month.
Well, what I'm trying to say is I think that in April, we may be favorable.
Oh, okay, so it's gonna maybe low.
Right.
The shortfall was from January specifically, right?
Correct. It was primarily from January. If we hadn't had that, I'll call it weather event in January, we wouldn't even have an increase. We wouldn't be asking for it. But unfortunately, we did have it. It was significant shortfall.
Right now, we've already paid it. It's already been paid. Now the question is how we want to recover that, or how much
Okay,
do
so
we want to
this is, so what we're talking about is the money that we've, the $1 billion we paid back in January.
Correct.
That we gotta recover somehow.
That's correct.
That's why our income dropped, our amount dropped. Okay.
That's correct.
We'll have some options.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we're not accruing interest or anything like that.
no, it's already gone.
Right.
I think we've had some bad experiences with trying to defer
Yes, that's why.
increased costs, and I don't want to go down, that road again either.
Yeah.
As opposed to, 2.3, 3.4, whatever percent, we get hit with a 15% increase just because we have to make up time. That doesn't, nobody swallows that pill easy.
Right, no, and then the clock will restart beginning in...
Okay, so it's not like what's happened in the past where we.
Right.
It just has to happen every 6 months. Well, 6 months just happens to be May 1st.
Okay.
That's a good point. This will, come up every 6 months. Yes.
Right.
And hopefully, restarting the clock, it goes down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else? Yeah, go ahead, Dorsey.
I think we got to make a motion.
No, we're not made a motion. No, you're serious. Motion. Vice Mayor.
Motion to accept the recommendation by town staff
By town manager.
on deferment
Yes.
for 1 month.
I know what it was.
Okay. Vice Mayor Updike and, who made the second? Oh. Councilman Foster. All right, Dorsey.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Ippolito?
Aye.
Mr. Updike?
Aye.
Mr. Evans?
Aye.
Mr. Foreman?
Aye.
Mayor Stanley?
Aye.
Motion carries with all members voting aye.
Okay, this meeting will be adjourned to Saturday, May 2nd at 9 a.m. Light breakfast at 8:30 a.m. for a budget work session right here in Town Hall. And we are adjourned.